What's going on, good people? I'd like to welcome y'all back to the classroom. So today we have it ain't controversial to me, but it's controversial to a lot of people. Speaking about sexual history, a person's sexual history, and how the judgments that every human makes would cause them to say, hey, I'm cool with it or I ain't cool with it. But I just kind of want to showcase to young men and the young women that there are different rules for men than there are for women. So we about to hop into this clip right here. Class in session. So I want y'all to just listen to this argument. I'm going to read the headline, right? So the headline reads, man's fiance calls off the wedding after she finds out about his past behavior in college. So let's listen to see what bro's past behavior was.
Because I slept with a few dudes in the past in college does not mean you're going to sit there and call the wedding off. It was in college. Right now, no. Right now, college. It was in college. Oh, for the love of God. It was in college. It was in college. You act like you were never curious before. You never messed around with. I'm a good man. Any woman will want a man like me.
All right, so y'all heard it. First and foremost, man has sex with a man, he gay. Culturally, ain't no coming back from that. Now, in the eyes of God, come on home. Jesus welcomes you home. Most women ain't going for that. And somebody made an extremely valid point. Said these black women, especially black women, need to quit fake supporting LGBT. Just stop. Because the moment any dude that you know, namely your guy, your man, or your son, and I think it's going to be in one of the comments when I show some of these comments, y'all all of a sudden ain't for it. How can being gay be good for somebody else's son but not your man or your son? It's the hypocrisy, man. Like, it's like we gotta wake up, yo. Like, we gotta live. Like, that's why the word of God says, let your yes be yes and your no be no. If it's no today on this subject matter, it should be no tomorrow on the same subject matter. And there is a line of reasoning and thinking that should be applicable to all that we say and we do. Because without that, then people just can't trust us. We're inconsistent. There's a word that we don't use anymore where people say two-faced. You don't say that no more.
Any woman will want a man like me.
Now, I think you're wrong about that. Any woman will want a man like me. Nah, dog. Like, not in this community. Not in the world we live in. The closest thing I've seen to any woman saying that she was cool with it was a woman of God. Like, and she didn't have a lot of options. See, when you don't have options, you need to look for godly reasons to take people more often than not. Like, and that's another piece that we got to get into. We think that because we love God, the idealism that comes from the Bible is going to trump how we live and speak and see and breathe and interact with humans on a daily basis. I promise y'all it's not. I promise you it's not. This is a human experience. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Like, the heavens, the earth. There are things that you are going to experience and struggle in this fleshly body, that because of your spiritual acumen or awareness, it gives you the right perspective to endure and to receive grace. But more often than not, it doesn't change the experience that you feel in this body, the emotions. Because we have emotions, because we are stricken to these emotional frameworks in humanity, there are many things about us that just cannot be trusted without a spiritual principle. And I don't care who you are, and I don't care how sound you think you are, and I don't care how prophetic you think you are. Because we have emotions, we miss things. Now, this does not give anybody a license to discount any and all prophets or any and all things that are likened to the anointing of God. But sometimes we just got to sit back and we just got to talk about what's natural. And I'm a staunch believer of the word of God. Situations like these, we have to be able to explain that, hey, you can do what you want, but I get to choose how I want regarding you once I find out what you did. Keep going, brother. Keep going off, dog.
So you go ahead and try to throw me away. You go ahead and try. You go ahead and try. Like I said, let me tell you something. You will never find another man like me. You will never find another man like me.
You're judging me is what he says.
That's all right. That's all right. For what? For what? College. I'm a different man now. Serious. You're not serious. It's not finished. 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 It's because I can be. Because you're judging me. Because I slept with a few guys in my past. And because I.
Like, it's a done deal, dog. Like, you gay. Look, listen. Being gay, it ain't cool, but I mean, it's cool for you, dog. What you do, what a grown man does with his butthole and his dick, that's up to him. But stop. And I ain't even upset with this brother, right? What I'm upset with is the thinking that tells this brother that she's supposed to forgive him and want to remain in relationship with him. She has every right to make a different decision. You got to be able to accept the consequences of your actions, yo. Like this is where maturity comes in. There was a question. I was in a Mr. 13. I think it's Mr. 1913 in college. I was somewhat, popular, so they wanted me to be in the Mr. 1913 pageant. Now, at that time in my life, I was really afraid to speak in front of people. Like, I just couldn't formulate the sentences. It was just crazy. And I was like, man, look, I ain't. And I think it was really because it was the women. Like, even dudes that get women, like, you sometimes still get really nervous around like groups of pretty women because you're self-conscious about how they're perceiving you, right? And there was a question that was asked, and I'll never forget this. When do you know that a boy has gone from being a boy to being a man? And today's answer to that question is when he can stand straight and accept the consequences for every action that he's chosen to take in his life. I don't know what made this brother tell Shorty what happened. I don't know if she found out from some other people. But it ain't no fight there. It's a simple question. Hey, you know now? Do you accept it? No. Dang. Thank you for being honest. You shake her hand, you hug her, you grab your stuff, and you go figure it out somewhere else. Making people like you is not a thing. You wouldn't have wanted to be married to this lady anyway. Like, I tell people all the time, dog, when it comes to marriage, more often than not, we're dodging bullets with the people that we don't marry. Now let's look at some of the comments from this thing. That's what I want us to see too. So check out some of these comments. Like, I didn't know mine was going to pop up. My comment right there too. Like, look at this stuff. Sticky situation still. You know what I'm saying? She's 1,000,000% right. You can't withhold such information. So basically what a lot of people are agreeing with me on is that, look, bruh, as a man, once you gay, you always gay. And now this comment is one I want to kind of focus on because she mentions Jesus, right? Just because Jesus forgives you doesn't mean the humans will. Should we be forgiving as Christians? Absolutely. Are we forgiving at the time that people need us to? Not so much. And we got to quit pretending just because Jesus forgave that somebody else has to forgive me right now. Yes, ideally they should. But that's not real life. And we have to quit trying to superimpose our selfishness, because I believe in relationships, the most selfish thing in the world is for me to expect you to accept me for me, when the me that you're accepting makes you feel less than who you think you deserve in relationship. You think you deserve something more. I'm telling you that you have to accept me as I am. You're like, no, I deserve more. It's selfish of me to superimpose my will onto yours, to force my standard into yours. Like, we got to stop doing that. We think people are being selfish because they're choosing their preferences over who we are. There's nothing more selfish than me wanting my wife to do something for me when I know that it's something that she doesn't enjoy and doesn't make her feel well. Like, yeah, I could say she's being selfish for not giving it to me. But if I turn that mirror around, I'm being selfish for demanding something of her that she doesn't have in her to give. And we both have the ability to make a choice. So yeah, these comments right here, man, are just proving that when men cross certain lines sexually, there is no coming back. Now let's flip the script. Let's go to another video. Same principles. I'm a principle guy. Like, I don't care what people do, but we got to exercise our thinking abilities. So if a man's past sexually can be held against him, then the same has to be true for a woman. Let's take a look, though.
Woo, I've had sex with 35 guys.
See that? Now let's go through these comments. First comment off the rip. 35 is not a lot. I'm sure he himself is north of 200. Y'all got to stop judging women, bro. Niggas is in the hundreds. And 35 is a lot? Listen to me. I had sex with over 100 women. If my wife would have got hit by 35 dudes, I wouldn't have married her. And people can tell me and call me whatever they want. I don't care. Is it hypocritical? Whatever. Just because my wife is willing to accept something for her reasons doesn't mean that I have to accept the same thing for that reason as well. There are some things that my wife has done in her past that some men wouldn't accept. I did. The principles are the same. So either we're gonna call a spade, and sexual past should matter, or we're gonna say, hey, it shouldn't matter at all. But no matter what we try to say on a general level, it boils down to the individual, because there are factors that will always move the needle in the direction of the individual or away from the individual. Young lady like Brittany Renner, as fine as this woman is to every man on the planet, there's something, like, not to be disrespectful, because I'm a married man, I love God, but I can see there are things that can tip the scale in a woman's favor. This young woman being as attractive as she is, that gives her an immeasurable amount of grace that most women don't receive. So 35 guys from a woman like this, most men are like, hey, whatever, I got a baddie, I want her. But you take a regular old young lady from A&T, she got 35 bodies. I don't care how old she is. I don't care how y'all break the math down. It ain't happening. It ain't happening with her for me. But whatever. But these comments right here are showing you. Y'all saying 35 is not a lot makes me sad. Praying for y'all. Thank you. 35 is actually modest considering the numbers I've heard from regular people. Unc ready to be the 36. She says 35 is probably 300. I don't agree with all of that. You know how people always say if a woman say a number and multiply it by 3. I mean, look, I take people at face value, man. Like I work in the insurance industry. There's a thing called a material misrepresentation. It's something that you know is true that somebody actually asks you about and you lie about it. And then when they find out, they leave or they change the course of action. So in the insurance world, if there's a material misrepresentation, what happens is if you lie about something that the insurance companies would have rated your policy for or denied the policy for, you don't have coverage. They're like, no, you lied about this. We not covering you. So whatever peril just took place in your life, your house, your car, that's on you for lying. Then there's concealment. Concealment is something that that nobody asked you about. You knew, you just didn't tell. But that can be equally detrimental because when somebody finds out, material misrepresentation and a concealment are different. The misrepresentation, that's a little more egregious because you know that they asked you and you're just lying. A concealment is more of an omission, which is deception. And when I think about it, deception is just as bad. When it comes to things that you know would alter somebody's decision about choosing you, I feel that you're obligated to tell them. To not tell them is a manipulation. But greater than it being a manipulation, there's always going to be an insecurity attached to the thing that you were afraid to tell them because you felt that the judgment that came from them would render you hopeless or single or without them. If you're afraid to tell somebody something because you think it's going to cause them to not choose you, you have to tell them. Otherwise, you don't give yourself an opportunity to truly be loved and accepted for who you are and where you've been. This entire generation of people, we're all so afraid of judgments. We're so afraid of judgment, and we don't understand that the presence of judgment is the thing that showcases the love that the individual has for us. For somebody to know who you are and what you've really done and where you've really been and what you've truly been through, and to choose you anyway, that's the type of love that you're looking for. That's a place that you can call home. But because of our fears and our insecurities, we're not telling people the whole story. And we're pretending that that's my business. No, it ain't your business. When you decide to be in a relationship with somebody, when somebody is hitching their wagon to you for the rest of their life, everything that you got that could alter their perception, their viewpoint, or their decision on you, it must be told. That's how I live my life. I'm telling everything. My homeboys know, hey, dog, we ain't committing no crimes with G because G gonna tell it. I can't hold on to it. I struggle sometimes because I hold on to things that I know will change people's opinions longer than I should. But eventually I'm telling it. Because I think about how would I feel knowing that this person that I've committed so much of my life to has this secret that if I knew about, it would change how I move and love them for the remainder of my life. Come on, man. Like, y'all better. So getting back to the original point, it seems that in society, people don't like to accept the fact that there is a double standard when it comes to sex. There is something different about a man who can have sex with 100 women and a woman who can have sex with 100 men. My boy Cass TV was talking the other day. There was a study where I think on a college campus, where one of the most attractive men on the campus went up to 100 women and was like, hey, you want to go back to the dorm and have some sex? And I think he said every one of those women was like, nah, dog, what you talking about, weirdo? Then they flipped the script. An attractive woman went around and asked 100 men, did they want to go back to the dorm and have sex? And I think he said like 70% of the men said absolutely. Don't know nothing about shorty, don't know nothing about nothing. All they know is they about to get some buns. That's the difference between men and women. One of the reasons I really wanted to give my life to God was because at some point in my life, I realized that I could have sex whenever I wanted to. And this is not me bragging. This is me sincerely saying to something is wrong. A man shouldn't be able to wake up and decide who and when he wants to have sex. That ain't how it's supposed to be. Anything that comes that easily, that is as valuable as sex is, we got to take a minute. We got to look at people. And for a woman to give up something that valuable, that easily, knowing full well that brother's going back to tell it. It ain't a fine chick that I done had sex with that that my homeboys don't know about. We telling it. I don't care what y'all say. I don't care what you feel. At some point, we got to get honest about what's really taking place in the world. At some point, we got to be honest about our humanity. What we're doing, how we're doing it, why we're doing it, and who we're doing it for and to. A lot of what I did sexually was so I could go let my homeboys know that, hey, bro, I'm a better dude than you because I got more women than you. I don't know that women play that same game. I don't know why women do it, except there are abandonment issues. Like they're more psychological abandonment, detachment, insecurity issues tied to why women are willing to do certain things. Typically, when you see women who are just sexually like relentless, you can attach a lot of that to their father. When men are in situations like that, because I grew up with a solid father, I grew up with a solid mama. Like it's more like competition based. Like women aren't competing to have sex with more men than their friends. That's something that men will do, and it's stupid, but we do it. So when men have many sex partners and women still choose them, they're choosing them because it's like, hey, there's something about your ability to have sex with so many women that intrigues me to you. Now, I don't want to marry a man that's going to continue to do those things, but I do want to marry a man who has the ability to do it, but he's choosing not to do it because of the higher power that he has attached himself to, that he believes in, or because he sees so much value in me that I'm worth fighting not to do those things. Now, as a man, for a woman, it's like, you just done been too many places. Too many insecurities attached to that. A man that's been with 100 women more than likely can learn how to please his woman, because it's a difference. Like, freaking on 100 women is different than having intimacy and having a real sexual, healthy relationship with one woman. And more often than not, I can rise my level to whatever her standard is. On the flip side, a woman that's been with 100 men, like every man has a different faction, has a different positioning, has a different preference, a different taste and appetite. For all those 100 individuals to impose that on one woman, she's going to start to formulate a sexual appetite based on her experiences. That's going to be tough for a man to be able to rival. Size matters, age matters, body type matters, emotional intelligence matters, like financial abilities matter. There are so many factors that go into a woman being able to open herself up to that man sexually that most men just don't have the mental fortitude to compete. So we got to stop pretending that this stuff don't matter, because it does. So fellas, you ever had sex with a man, in the eyes of a woman, you gay. And that's just what it is. If she loves God and Jesus Christ has led her your way and she want to give you a chance, then more power to y'all. But don't beat these women up for not choosing you. Women, you can typically get away with being with a woman. Men, that's actually something men are attracted to. But it's a weird thing to be attracted to if you don't have some corrections in your thinking, because that type of perversion can set an expectation for marriage that woman may not even have. You better understand why she did what she did. But more often than not, women can be forgiven for the same sex attraction stuff. Ain't no big deal. But the number of men you sleep with, I don't even know if men are turned off if a woman says, I've been with 35 women. Now, aside from the fact that your thinking is really perverted, like, now that's a wild thing. But just on his face, I mean, y'all really can't do that much. But what, lick on each other, and you know, if y'all got like strap-ons and stuff, but that's kind of weird too, because like, just get a dude. But to say you've been with 35 men, it's another level. Let's discuss, man. Class dismissed.